Good morning, traders. This is Shane Scott, the moderator of Newsware's Trade Talk. At Trade Talk, we're providing you with the most up-to-the-minute news on the market, along with the facts, themes, and short-term trading ideas for the day ahead. Joining me today is our trading anchor, Bill Olson, who brings over 30 years of institutional trading knowledge to our program. We're going to get things started with our markets update. U.S. futures are mixed this morning, with S&P futures up 0.03%, Dow futures up 0.05%, and Nasdaq futures down 0.13%. Markets have remained steady ahead of highly anticipated U.S. payrolls data today. Treasury yields have climbed higher alongside the dollar. Solid earnings have buoyed markets this week, helping the S&P and Nasdaq to really hit fresh peaks. But the debate continues. When does the Federal Reserve need to start cutting back on stimulus? Thursday's release showed a second drop in U.S. jobless, stoked expectations for a strong payrolls that could spark market swings. Elsewhere in markets, WTI crude oil advanced but remained on course for one of its biggest weekly losses this year on demand risks from COVID-19. Over in Europe, the Stock 600 index was little changed amid mixed earnings after 4 days of gains, leading to the region's best week in 3 months. Bill, what are you seeing as far as market updates?
Shane, I'm watching the S&Ps, and the S&Ps are essentially flat. Yeah, they're higher. That's positive news. But they're really waiting on that non-farms payroll report. You look at it this morning, and all I can say is it's in anticipation of that report. We had a bunch of earnings come out last night. For the most part, they were pretty good. But the non-farms payroll report for July is really the key. And it's likely to show accelerated hiring, for July when the report comes out. The estimate is for a gain of 858,000 jobs. That's the most since August 2020, while unemployment's probably going to dip to about 5.7% from 5.9%. So that's a positive as well. I'm also, keeping an eye on the U.S. Senate, which is heading towards a weekend vote on that $550 billion infrastructure legislation, which could be, pretty good for some of these industrial stocks. So that's what I'm watching for. I'm positive on the market today. I'm just waiting on that non-farms payroll report to really conclude whether I'm going to be long or short today.
Well, let's talk about earnings to watch. Starting off with the earnings that have already been announced, it looks like Carvana did pretty good. Bill, why don't you tell us about it?
Carvana, yeah, they beat by 67 cents on higher revenue. This was a big beat. Stock's up $28 or 8.49% this morning. You follow that up by Monster Beverage. That's ticker MNST, Michael, Nancy, Sam, Tom. They beat by 7 cents on higher revenue. And you see that stock's up approximately 3% this morning. International Fragrances, that's ticker IFF, India Frank. They beat by 2 cents on higher revenue. You look at Floor & Decor, that's ticker FND. They beat by 10 cents on higher revenue. Dropbox, it's ticker DBX, David Boy X-Ray. They beat by 7 cents on higher revenue. And you see that the stock is up 3.36% this morning. Universal Displays, it's ticker OLED, Oscar, Larry, Edward, David. They beat by $1.07 on higher revenue. Yet the stock is down 3.7% this morning. Beyond Meat, that's ticker BYND, Boy, Yellow, Nancy, David. They missed by 8 cents on higher revenue. And the stock's down 4.3% this morning. Switch, ticker SWCH, Sam, William, Charlie, Henry. They missed by a penny on higher revenue. Switch is actually up $3.84 this morning, which is 18%. It's an 18% move. FireEye, ticker FEYE, Frank, Edward, Yellow, Edward. They missed by 23 cents on lower revenue, and that stock's down 9.91% this morning. Shake Shack, ticker SHAK. Everything looked positive in going into this report, and they came through. They beat by 13 cents on higher revenue. Shake Shack this morning is actually trading off about 0.78%, but it was a solid beat. Chewy Holdings, it's ticker CHUY, Charlie, Henry, under, Yellow. They beat by 16 cents on higher revenue. Chewy is actually unchanged this morning. And Party City, that's ticker PCTY, Paul, Charlie, Tom, Yellow. They beat by 16 cents on higher revenue, and the stock is up 2.8% this morning.
Let's give traders some insights as far as upcoming earning announcements.
On Monday, we have Air Products. That's ticker APD, Apple Paul David. They're going to be releasing Monday morning. The estimate is for $2.36. And the expected move there is 4.33%. Cormark Holdings, that's ticker CORE, Charlie Oscar Richard Edward. Their estimate is 55 cents and the expected move is 4.5%. Dish Networks, that's ticker DISH, David India Sam Henry. EPS estimate is 89 cents and the expected move is 6.65%. Foot Locker, that's ticker FL, the shoemaker, estimate is for $1 and the expected move is 9.5%. US Foods, USFD, under Sam Frank David, the estimate is 36 cents and the expected move there is 11.24%. And Eagle Pharmaceuticals, that's ticker EGRX, their estimate is 80 cents and the expected move there is 12.68%. Bally's, that's ticker BALY, Bally's Corp, the EPS is 49 cents estimate and the expected move there is 10.88%. Purple Innovation, that's ticker PRPL, Paul Richard Paul Larry. EPS estimate there is 12 cents and the expected move is 13.28%. Tyson Foods, that's ticker TSN, Tom, Sam, Nancy. The EPS estimate is $1.59 and the expected move is 4.38%. And the Trade Desk, that's TTD, Tom, David. This is going to be an interesting one. The earnings estimate here is 12 cents and the expected move is 11.51% when they release on Monday. Foot Locker should be interesting. The fact is the shoemakers have been doing very well. People have been buying shoes. So I wouldn't be surprised if Foot Locker shows a nice beat on Monday morning when they release their earnings. But that's what I have for you this morning in terms of upcoming earnings announcements, Shane.
Let's talk about economic reports. Bill, tell us what we're seeing for reports today.
The big one, the key one, non-farm payrolls, 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. That's the one that's the market is waiting for. This is the one that's going to create the direction for the day. So that's the one everyone's waiting on. When that comes out, you're going to see the S&P start to move. At 10 a.m., we have wholesale inventories. This is an initial figure. And at 1:30 p.m. Eastern time, we have the Baker Hughes rig count. This should be interesting and may affect oil prices this afternoon when this report is released.
Moving into our morning's critical insights, starting things off with one on Medtronic, ticker MDT. The company has acquired Intersect ENT, ticker XENT, an ear, nose, and throat medical tech company for $1.1 billion. Medtronic's share price is up 0.24% in pre-market. In other news, Kaijin Auto, ticker KXIN, has decided to establish a new EV business unit, which will quickly build up EV R7D production and marketing teams. The move has been made under the context of the Chinese government's steady support for accelerated development of EV. News on Norwegian Cruise Lines, ticker NCLH. The company expects 40% of fleet capacity operating by the end of quarter 3. Its first cruise to commence to the U.S. is scheduled for August 7th with Norwegian Encore, which will move to Alaska from Seattle. Norwegian's share price is up 0.79% in pre-market. News on Alibaba, ticker BABA. Alibaba warned investors that tax breaks for the internet industry will start to dwindle, adding billions of dollars to cost for China's largest corporations. Alibaba told some investors during a post-earnings call this week that the government stopped treating some of its businesses as so-called key software enterprises, a designation that conferred a preferential 10% tax rate. Elsewhere on the tape, Meituan, ticker MPNGF, is facing a $1 billion fine for allegedly abusing its dominant market position in China. China's State Administration for Market Regulation is likely to issue a fine in the coming weeks and will also request food from the delivery company to revamp its operations. Furthering news on China, Didi, ticker DIDI, has said to weigh giving up data control to appease Beijing. And news on Baidu, ticker BIDU, the company has announced the launch of Apolong 2, a new generation of multi-purpose autonomous minibuses that are being rolled out in Guangzhou Huangpu district. The Apolong 2 is equipped with advanced autonomous driving capabilities and the latest in-vehicle smart cabin technologies. Baidu's share price is up 0.84% in pre-market. Lastly, for me, one on ExxonMobil, ticker XOM. It's considering a pledge to cut net carbon emissions to zero by 2050. CEO Darren Woods and others on the board are seriously debating the idea, noting that Woods had previously called European rivals' carbon reduction goals as no more than a beauty competition. The company plans to make a decision by the year's end. Bill, what are you seeing as far as this morning's news?
Well, Shane, I break my news alerts down into specific alerts for events and for sectors like, the oil industry or events or guidance. And it really does help because when you have the news broken down into specific sectors, you're just able to react to the news stories before the price action moves in. This morning in my FANG alert, I noticed that Apple, Google, and Microsoft have been tapped by the U.S. Government to help defend U.S. networks from ransomware attacks. They're serious about this. They really want to get a handle on these overseas hackers getting into our critical infrastructure. Amazon, ticker AMZN, they're planning an air cargo campus at Newark Liberty Airport, which is very interesting. But they also had a big win in India as India court stalls futures $3.4 billion retail deal. That's a net positive for Amazon. Apple, Chinese manufacturer Xiaomi, saw that its month-to-month sales jumped by 26%. That pushes them to the number one position in terms of cell phone manufacturing in global sales. Apple, ticker AAPL, Coinbase is adding Apple Pay and Google Pay to their crypto exchange. Facebook, ticker FB, the U.S. Federal Trade Commission actually criticized Facebook yesterday for making misleading claims to explain why it disabled the accounts of researchers studying political ads on the social media platform. Tesla, there's a White House event going on, and for the companies that are making electronic vehicles, and Tesla wasn't invited. Kind of interesting, and they're saying it's because this event is really focused on the biggest employees of the UAW. So I guess it kind of makes sense. But, the fact that they didn't invite the leader, that's super strange. Going over to my Dow 30 alert, it starts off with Pfizer. Booster shots in the fall should help to ensure that vaccine sales will be positive for the next 3 months. JP Morgan is making cryptocurrency funds available to its clients. And Procter & Gamble, ticker PG, Triton's Nelson Peltz is going to conclude his services on the P&G's board at the end of this term. In terms of option industry, UPS, I'm expecting, to see some really elevated option volumes in UPS today. That $5 billion stock buyback that they announced is pretty big news. In terms of events going on, there's a shareholders meeting with Digital Holdings, Marathon Digital Holdings. This is ticker MARA, M-A-R-A, Michael Apple, Richard Apple. Now, the key here is that the stock is trading higher this morning in advance of the shareholders meeting. But I really have a concern with these digital currencies because you have the SEC ready to swoop in and start making regulatory changes to these public companies. When that happens, that's going to be difficult for them to manage this new environment. So I'm not sure what's going to be said, but I will be paying attention to the shareholders meeting for Marathon Digital Holdings today, ticker MARA. But that's what I have for you in terms of my news events, Shane.
Let's talk about our Trade Talk picks for today. I'm picking Baidu, ticker BIDU. Every time Baidu announces one of these new moves they're making with autonomous vehicles, they get a bump in the market. And we've been seeing that all year for them. And I don't expect anything any different this time. It's kind of cool, the little bus they've come out with, and it really looks like something that could be a fun novelty and useful. So this is one that I expect to move higher. It's up a little bit already. It's up 0.84%. So it'd be nice, I think, to wait for some market weakness in the morning to look for that first. But I expect towards the end of the day that we'll see some appreciation on this one. What's your pick looking like, Bill?
Your market weakness comment is validated because the fact is you have to wait to see what happens with the unemployment report. If it's negative, there's going to be an opportunity to get in at a cheaper rate. If it's positive, that's a different story. Stocks should run. But you got to be real cautious on that non-farms payroll report, because that's really going to set the tone for today. But my pick today is UPS, United Parcel Systems. On July 27th, UPS announced a solid earning quarter. They beat by 25 cents. They did it on higher revenue. They increased their shipping rates to neutralize the higher fuel costs. Makes a lot of sense. In this report, though, they said that they have no plans to repurchase shares in 2021. The stock actually pulled back from the 210 area down to the 190 area after that report. After the close yesterday, they announced a quarterly dividend of $1.02 and the approval of a $5 billion share repurchasing plan to replace the existing $2.1 billion plan. That's more than double. Buybacks have always been positive for the stocks, and I expect UPS to trade higher today on this news. So that's what I'm looking for today, Shane.
We'll talk about what's hot off the press. So it's the news that's hitting the tape that's going to be moving the stock market today. Let's talk about it. Bill, seeing our headlines, which are the ones we should be letting traders know about?
DraftKings, ticker DKNG, David King, Nancy Girl. They received an SEC subpoena related to allegations that were raised in the Hindenburg report.
Magna International, ticker MGA, said it will be disciplined on Veoneer, ticker VNE, after Qualcomm overbid.
I see Walmart's ramping up for the holiday season in a tight job market. They're giving bonuses to keep warehouse workers in place. Ticker SCU, Sam Charlie Under. Citibank opens a 90-day positive catalyst watch on the stock. Ticker SCU, Sam Charlie Under. Mitch McConnell says Democrats won't get help from Republicans in raising debt limit. At 10:30 this morning, President Biden is going to be delivering remarks on the July jobs report at the White House. That's an indication that the jobs report is going to be very positive.
Looks like analysts have grown bullish on luxury apparel after Ralph Lauren and Capri have blown past expectations. Johnson & Johnson, ticker J&J, is seeking emergency use approval of COVID-19 vaccine in India.
Ticker Z, Zillow. Zillow predicts its first $2 billion quarter and blows away earnings expectations.
Anything else interesting for you, Bill?
No, that's all I'm seeing, Shane.
Same here. So that's going to do it for what's hot off the press. Traders, keep in mind you can receive the same breaking stories we do simply by subscribing at newsware.com. Check us out and get a free trial. It'll definitely up your trading game. Lastly, moving into our scoreboard, talking about how our picks did from Thursday. I had Papa John's, that's ticker PZZA. It opened at $115.24 and really just went upward and went to a high of $119.77, which was the closing price for a 3.93% gain. So anytime you got into this one, there was a nice upward motion to get into, and not too bad. How did yours end up doing, Bill?
I did Floor and Decor Holdings, that's ticker FND. Stock closed up at $1.35 yesterday. It opened up at $126.20 and hit a high of $128.50, which is a 1.82% differential. They beat by 12 cents on higher revenue. Stock's trading off this morning, but yesterday's moves were solid.
Nice. Good picks all around. That's going to do it for us here at Trade Talk. But traders, you know what to do. Let's get out there. Let's make some green.